And the United States has introduced a new round of sanctions against Iran, this time targeting the country's financial institutions, 18 of them to be exact. And while the U.S. government insists that the initiative is to stop the funding of what it calls malign activities, others say it'll actually do more harm than good. RT's Alex Mihailovich brings us the latest updates.
It's a move that targets Iran's entire financial sector. The U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions against 18 major banks in Iran. The penalties aim to effectively shut the country out of the global financial system and will likely weaken Iran's already hurting currency.
I think it's already intolerable. Many people, including me as a business owner, are really suffering because of the inflation. We are just alive. We don't actually enjoy life.
According to the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, our sanctions programs will continue until Iran stops its support of terrorist activities and ends its nuclear programs. Today's actions will continue to allow for humanitarian transactions to support the Iranian people. Tehran has categorically denied the allegations and is calling the move a crime against its citizens. Iran's foreign minister tweeted, "Amid COVID-19 pandemic, U.S. regime wants to blow up our remaining channels to pay for food and medicine. Iranians will survive this latest of cruelties, but conspiring to starve a population is a crime against humanity. Culprits and enablers who block our money will face justice." With nearly 500,000 cases and over 27,000 deaths due to the coronavirus, the pandemic has hit Iran harder than any other country in the Middle East. Critics of the U.S. sanctions say they are especially cruel when considering COVID-19 and are unlikely to achieve the goal of putting the Iranian government into a corner. Instead, the penalties are slowing the flow of food, medicine, and other humanitarian aid, which hurts average people in Iran and not the state. Back to the financial institutions, the banks affected by a fresh round of sanctions include 16 which are being singled out for operating in Iran's financial sector, as well as one bank that is allegedly controlled by a sanctioned Iranian bank, and one the U.S. Treasury accuses of being affiliated with Iran's military. However, America's friends in Europe are saying that they do not support the measures. The fear is that foreign banks who do business with Iranian financial institutions will now be exposed to punishment from Washington. In fact, much of the world has refused to play along with the U.S. and its Iran sanctions, as was made clear last month at the United Nations. In September, the American government attempted to unilaterally restore international economic penalties against Iran at the UN, a move which other nations refused to support and risks further isolating the U.S. in the international community. With little backing from friends and foes alike, the U.S. is doubling down in its most recent effort to punish Iran. The Department of Justice announced that it seized 92 web domains, which it alleges are tied to Iran's elite Revolutionary Guard. Addressing the websites, Assistant Attorney General for National Security John C. Demers stated, "Fake news organizations have become a new outlet for disinformation spread by authoritarian countries as they continue to try to undermine our democracy. Today's actions show that we can use a variety of laws to vindicate the value of transparency." With U.S. elections just around the corner, it is a popular belief that the new round of penalties against Iran by the Trump administration are an attempt to show off some muscle, the intended audience being the American voter and not the government of Iran.